Welcome to the Secret Keepers podcast with your host, Kareen Zutleger. Join us as we uncover the hidden thoughts, stories, and moments that help bring light to the healing power of truth and examine how silence can affect us mentally, physically, and spiritually. We'll also share profound stories, interviews, and transformative narratives to help release ourselves from the hidden and step into healing towards inner peace, joy, and fulfillment. Now, here's your healing strategist and host, Kareen.
Today, we're going to be talking about all things secrets and how those secrets affect us from a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual manner. And everything that we talk about in here is, these are our opinions. They're things that we've discovered, and they should never replace professional advice from your medical professionals. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
You're welcome. Tammy, why don't you start by telling the audience what it is that you do?
Okay, well, I am a coach, but currently I am really just throwing myself 100% into the Women's Wellness Network. So it's a network for those that are healing and those that are healers to come together and have a space to, interact and share their knowledge. Healers are always still learning also. So healing never ends, right? So we can always learn new things from those people who are looking for answers, I guess. They give us answers when we don't even know we have a question.
Yeah.
So yeah, bringing women together in a way that they can communicate together, they can participate in things together, they can really learn and get to know one another, myself included, right? I want it to feel like we're sitting around on a patio, we are, chatting, we're just being women, talking about stuff, sharing things that are, maybe we're having issues with or things that we've overcome and we want to help others along. So that is what I'm doing right now. And it's like the most exciting thing I've done, I think, ever, because it's coming from here and it's part of really my own journey led me here. So it's full.
I love that. I love that. That's how we met,
Yes.
is having me join your group. And so I love that you're here. Um, tell me how does having the wellness network, how does that help you create joy? How does that help you feel fulfilled as a woman?
I guess being of service, giving back, knowing that the things that I've gone through in my lifetime mean something, they have value, even if they were terrible, um, traumatic, stressful, all the things. But there's, silver linings and gold nuggets to everything, no matter what it is. And I want people to be able to realize that their own stuff is that too. We all have that inside of us. We all have the wisdom. It's just a matter of, navigating through it.
I love that. And it's so true. And that leads me into, you know, they say that what is brought to light can be healed. And we often find that, we're taught, right? Belief systems can have us keeping secrets and keeping things inside of us that we feel shame and guilt for. And we haven't even really opened ourselves up to other perspectives that would allow us to expand our belief systems. And, coming on and listening to things like this can help other people see and learn and grow that, geez, like I can too grow through this, whatever experience it was. So I would love for you to share with us, one of the things that you kept inside of you, that you led. You don't have to go into great detail. That's not what this is for, but to let other people know, they too can heal from something along this lines.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm going to start right from the very beginning of my life, which started off as a secret. My parents were secretly married. I came into being through that. And yeah, so it was always right from the very beginning was that thing was to keep secrets, was to keep quiet, was to keep things to yourself, was to not, um, you know, it's your knowledge to know, others, you're not supposed to share, and that kind of thing. So yes, going through all sorts of traumas in my life, abuses and such, and not speaking up ever. It's really difficult, right? And it becomes a condition, it becomes a pattern, it just becomes something, your way of being and living and sharing in the world, which is not sharing ultimately.
Right.
Right? Yeah. So when it came down, I wanted to be a perfectionist. I didn't want to be a perfectionist. Wrong. I was a perfectionist, and really strived for that my whole life. And things were always better if you worked into that way, right? To be that. So as I grew up and had children and was married, and things started to not go well in my marriage. I didn't know what to say, and I didn't know how to be or act or who to talk to without giving myself away, without giving my secrets away, without letting people know, right? Because we had this image and this persona of, we used to get called Mr. and Mrs. Campbell's soup. So we're just like, we both worked at a grocery store, so that's appropriate. But we just, right? So when things started to really go wrong, I really just kept that into myself, and not having any tools before, around self-love and self-worth, and being appreciated, being needed in the world, being anything in the world other than what the container I put myself into with my children and my husband. And when it was falling apart, um, I just went into this panic hermiting mode, right? I just collapsed inside to myself. And I was not in a good place to trust people. I was having issues with that. So I just really, yeah, I just kept everything inside and kept it locked away. And even when I started, um, we were proceeding with a divorce, and there was infidelity and stuff like that. And I didn't want to tell people. I didn't want to say that out loud. But not everybody, but most people already knew. And that was like, how can that be? I'm here trying to keep it all together and be quiet about things.
Mhm.
And it's already all out there in the world, and they're trying not to hurt me with it. So
Sure.
secrets in both ways, right? Um, would it be better if we both, we all said the truth? Absolutely, because then the next thing you know, I'm finding breast cancer, and I'm keeping that quiet. I'm not sharing it with anybody. I'm hadn't really shared anybody, any stuff about my marriage falling apart with anybody. Few people knew, close family and friends, of course. Um, but I just didn't know how to share myself and those things that are really important deep in the heart, without thinking that I would be judged or ostracized or, uh, you know, shunned almost. And that still happened. That still happened anyways. And then I still ended up getting breast cancer. And I 100% believe with all my being that it came from that situation and how I was feeling about myself,
Yeah.
and not knowing how any outlet for that. So because I didn't want my ex to come back, I lived in British Columbia, and there you have to spend a year working on your marriage before they let you file for a divorce.
Oh, okay.
So
Wow.
yeah, yeah, they don't grant it for a year. They want to make sure that it's, for sure.
Sure.
So I spent that year in silence, basically, to myself as a hermit, um, trying to do everything I could possibly do to save it, even though it was beyond saving, and it wasn't. I mean, ultimately, it really wasn't where either of us should have been. We should have been moving on and fine, right? That's life. That's what. Um, but in not wanting him to come back for that reason, not wanting him to say, I'm going to stay because you're ill, I
Mm.
didn't tell anybody. I
Okay.
found it and I dealt with it for months quietly. I found out I had it, and I still didn't tell anybody because I didn't want that to happen. I didn't want him to come back for that reason.
Yeah.
So I let the year go by, and I said, okay, we're at the year. I think we're probably done. And he's, yes, yes, we're done. Okay, then now I have something to tell you.
Mm,
which is probably not very nice, really, in
yeah.
the way that it works in the world.
Right.
Um, but I've been holding it in so long, and
Mhm.
it's such a major thing in somebody's life, like a serious illness, and not
Yeah.
knowing what was going to happen with that. And I had teenage children at the time, so yeah, just and that's another thing with keeping the secret, right? You don't want to disrupt the family; they're already disrupted enough. So just holding it all in there, but it festers and it eats you and it
Yeah.
morphs and it twists into something ugly. And um, then you have no choice. The universe gives you what you need, and if you're not going to release it on your own, it will give you the opportunity to do that.
100%. And I was just thinking, as you're talking about it, I mean, do you like feel the physicalness of how keeping that secret made you feel? Like, does it kind of come back as a memory? It's like, I kept this secret and it made me feel this way. And does that kind of resonate at all anymore? Have you made peace with everything?
Yeah, I think I'm at a good, peaceful
Good.
place.
Good.
But aspects about it, like when I just mentioned my children and them not knowing and all that stuff,
Mhm.
that still bothers me because
Sure.
um, from that we kind of separated me and my kids also. Um,
Okay. Okay.
I had nothing, like I had nothing. I didn't have a job. I was ill. I didn't have a home. Right. I was
Okay.
just like, what am I going to do? I can't. I was getting support, like spousal
Sure.
support and stuff for the children, but I was just going through so much I just couldn't manage.
Okay.
And I believe, people were quite sure that I was going to pass. The kind of breast cancer that I had was a little more rare.
Okay.
So yeah, so I think everybody on my ex's side was kind of preparing my children for that
Okay.
possibility. And when it wasn't going to come to pass because I wasn't going that way.
Yeah.
I didn't go through everything I'd gone through in my life to end it there. So no way I wasn't going to stop there. So I always had that mindset that I was going to be fine. I also had some guidance from somebody on the other side,
Sure.
helping, yeah, helping with that. Um, but it's still, it took a toll, and not being able to voice all that, I'm still having to deal with that, the fallout
Sure.
of
Okay.
that, and trying to reconnect. And, even with my own family, um, my own family were good now. But yeah, there was a time, right? I just didn't trust anybody. And I would assume because I knew I held all of this stuff within my own self, everybody else was doing the same thing as far as I could see, right? I could see, friends or family um, not sharing their stuff. You can see their
Mhm.
hurts. You know that they're keeping it in. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. But
Yeah.
also, somebody has to be wanting to and willing to make a move forward, step out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so
Yeah.
important because um you really hit on an important part of it is that there has to be an awareness. So once you had an awareness that this existed, you can't unsee it. But in order for you then to take that awareness has to happen in order for you to take the responsibility to make a different choice. And I love that you can see that, and it's not our as coaches, as mentors, as healers, right? It's not our job, if you will, to push upon people, but it is one of the things that we get to do and we choose to do is to raise awareness around things so that they can make different, take responsibility and make different choices. So we get to be an example of that. And I love that you're willing to come on here and share that and be vulnerable because so many people do they keep it locked inside. And what would, if you could give our audience one first step that you took that really made a difference in your healing journey with this, what would that be?
Well, let me see. I knew I wanted to, I guess it started even before I got cancer. I knew I needed to do something differently. I just didn't know what, and I didn't know who to go to, and I didn't know where to look, and I didn't know, where do you start? There's so many people out there. You just got to find somebody that you can resonate with. That's one of the things I love about like doing interviews, podcasts, people getting to actually hear the person and their story, not just picking up a book or a course or something and saying, okay, I'm going to do this because it sounds like it's for me. But if the person's not actually resonating in the same way, you could totally miss the point. Not that the information's not there, but it's just, how do I find the information that I need personally, specifically for me? I mean, the very first thing that I found was a book, and it took me a really long time to find it. Um, Real Love by Greg Bear. And that book, I was having a really hard time at that time. Even just reading, I was having, my mind was racing with all these things and depression and all this stuff. And I had to read it, I think, 3 times before I was actually clicking with everything that was being said. And then I was just like, oh, okay, now I got some stuff. Now I got something to go by, like a little something. And there's this one character in the story, and I think it probably pushed me more than anything to be the wart king. And I'm like, that's the person that the people go visit when they have troubles, like a guru sort of thing. He's the wart
Okay.
king.
Okay.
And I want to be the wart king. I don't want to have warts per se, but I think, to
Sure.
be that kind of person that people would come to, you have to have warts, you have to have scars, you have to have injuries, you have to have
Yeah.
the things. I have a lot of ones on the outside also, but it's the inside ones that people need to connect with, because those are the things that are the secrets. Those are the things that are driving that continuation of that pattern. And
Yeah.
then after
100%.
the book, yep, I found a DVD that was for like meditations.
Okay.
Um, I found a beginner's yoga,
I love it.
and what else is there? I think those were my very first things. And the very first practice that I put in was shortly after, I was already diagnosed with cancer. So it was right after, we had split up. So we decided we were going to split up, but I still had to live with him, which
Mhm.
was not so fun. But he
Okay.
would come in, yeah, he would come in the room or into the house, and I could feel the negative energy just because I was starting to pay attention. I was having an
Mhm.
awareness. So I
Sure.
told myself, I'm not going to allow that feeling to come into me. I have enough of my own stuff. I don't want that too. So I started to pay attention to that actual feeling of negativity. And I started a practice of, on any email, any text, anytime I wrote, anytime I was speaking with somebody, I would try to omit the word not.
Okay.
So nothing about, no, none of that. That was like my first thing. And I would try and reword my words so that
Sure.
it was a positive way instead of a negative way. And yeah, it still works. And
Awesome.
that's like 11 years, 12 years ago, 11 years ago,
Yeah, I love that. The brain doesn't recognize it anyways. So
right?
the word not, right? So if I'm saying I am not, the brain just says I am. So important to keep your mindset in that frame, that the word not is, it's not doing anything. So awesome.
Oh yeah.
Love it. And the name of the book again was what?
Real Love
Real
by
Love.
Greg Bear.
Okay. Okay, babe. Beautiful. I love that. Did you work at all, like with a coach or a mentor or a guide yourself to help you with any blind spots or along in your journey, in your process?
Yes, I did. I actually started, well, my first thing was to become a life coach myself. So I worked with the person who instructed me. So
Sure.
we worked, I worked a little bit with her. I was still going through cancer treatments and stuff. And she's like, I think you should do this. I think you'd be great at this.
Okay.
I was trying to help people through my journey on Facebook because, you know, I know people get, oh, what do I say? How do I act? Right? They get a little bit nervous. They don't know how to behave or they don't want to say the wrong thing. So I was really just out there saying, hey, this is me. Look at it. I have no hair. I whatever. This is what's going on. And really just trying to, I was just naturally being a coach without,
Yeah.
you know,
Without
for
being,
my people.
sure.
And ultimately that was helping myself too. So I did that. And then, yes, I took so many courses. I took advanced integrative energy healing, which of course, when it's the first thing that you do is you have to work. You have to do the intensive program. So that's self self work, which was
Sure. Yeah.
incredibly amazing.
Ah,
Um, then just going forward, working with all sorts of mentors that I really love. Oh geez, Dr. Alberto Villoldo. I never say his name
yes.
right. I'm sure. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I
I love
always
him
say it
too.
wrong.
I love him.
Yes, he's wonderful.
Mm,
And taking courses and really reading and diving in deep with Bruce Lipton and Greg Braden,
yeah, two
who
of
are
my
now a
favorites.
part of, well, I'm a part of their thing now. It's called
Beautiful.
Sustainable Global Leadership Academy,
Okay.
which has also been a really amazing place. Mentor there, Shlomo Shloham. He's, yeah, he's just a beautiful mentor and teacher. So I can't say much more about teachers and guides than Shlomo because he's incredible.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, thank you for sharing that. I find it so interesting the different journeys that people go on because, for you, it affected you in really all areas. These secrets, they affected you physically. They were affecting you mentally and spiritually. So it was a whole package deal here. But by bringing it to the surface, bringing it to light, and then you getting on the internet and sharing this journey, what I'm hearing is that it helped you heal parts of you that you maybe didn't even really know needed to be healed at the time.
100%.
Right? And what
Yeah.
a beautiful gift. And how in how the God, universe, source, Gus, like you like to say too, is working through us, right? We, first we're like, oh, this is happening to me. And then we learn, well, no, this happened for me. But then it gets even further into it. It's like, well, this is happening by me. And then ultimately we learn it happens through us. It's like, this is going on, but it is what you're to do with it is to take it out and take this wisdom and help someone with it. Maybe it's not thousands of people, maybe it's only one person. But if only one person receives this information today from this conversation, that ripples, right? Because that one person gets it, then it ripples and they get it, and it continues to ripple out. And that's my goal here with the Secret Keepers, is to help raise awareness, right? Raise that awareness so that people can take responsibility and make different choices for themselves and for their families. And I so appreciate you being here and being willing to talk about your transformational process, your healing journey, and how the secrets that you carried within you had affected you. And if you wouldn't mind, if you could just tell again the audience how they can find you. And yeah, I love it. Thank you for being
Yes.
here.
Yeah. Thank you for having me here. Well, I am on Facebook. I am Tammy Scarlett there. I'm on the Women's Wellness Network, which is a private Facebook group. But if you're a woman, we would love to have you join. I have an email, which I could put on here also. And my website is just getting turned around. We're getting reconnected with Go High Level and a bunch of new ways to connect. And yeah, it'll
Oh,
be fun.
beautiful, beautiful. Well, thanks again for joining us on the Secret Keepers podcast. And if anything that Tammy had shared with you today resonates, make sure to connect with her.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining the Secret Keepers podcast. If you found this episode helpful, please give us a like and follow so we can invite you back. And if you just want more, visit CorrineZuleger.com. Remember, you're not alone.